Assalamualaikum. Good evening, everyone. Um, Let me ask you something. When you think about gender roles, what comes to mind first? Maybe the image of women waiting in a castle for knights to save them, or men being told to stay strong and never cry. These ideas aren't just social habits; they've been written and repeated in the stories we've read for centuries. Literature doesn't just tell about the stories, it shapes how we see ourselves, how we treat others, and how we define what's normal. That's why today I want to explore how gender roles appears in classic and modern English texts and what they tell us about who we are, who I mean, and they and what they tell us about who they were, who we were, who we are, and who we are becoming. Okay, let's begin in the classical um, English literature. A word built a tradition and hierarchy where genders was clearly divided. In those stories, women were often written as a fragile, emotional, and dependent. Their main goal was usually to marry well, to please, and to sacrifice. Think of Ophelia in Hamlet, who loses her mind under the pressure of obedience and love. Or maybe Juliet in the Romeo and Juliet, who is torn between family's duty and personal desires. Meanwhile, men were expected to be leaders, rational, brave, tough, but rarely emotion. The ideal man was someone who commanded respect, not someone who expressed fear or sadness like a woman. This classical text didn't just describe gender, they defined it. They reinforced a world where men acted and women reacted, where emotions were feminine, and the power was masculine. Then come to the modern literature. Modern literature is called revolution in storytelling. A society changing then. Uh, Writers began to questioning old expectations, and then feminism, equality, global awareness influence how characters were written. Like in the what is it? I forgot. Handmaid's Tale by Margaret, Margaret, where women fight against oppression using their voices and intellect. On that part, women on that part, women met men and they didn't afraid to show emotion or vulnerability, vulnerability, like in the Billy in the Billy Elliot, a boy becoming a boy becoming ballerina for the boys. He choose ballet over boxing or over becoming knights, proving that masculinity isn't limited or toughness. Modern texts teach us gender roles are not rules, they are reflections open to change. They show that being human is more important than fitting a label. So, why? This is important for us, for you, for me, for the future thinkers, because these gender roles are not just a word on paper. they influence how we see real people. Even though today traces of those on ideas still exist, when women are judged uh, for being too ambitious, or men are taught to be strong and hide emotion. But studying gender in literature, we learn to recognize how language, culture, and tradition will shape our beliefs and how we can break free from what no longer serves us anymore. In the end, literature doesn't just tell stories, it tells it tells about anything. In a classic, when if in a classical text confine the gender, in the modern text begin to refine it. Then maybe it's our turn to create stories that finally reflect equality, empathy, and truth. And truth. So because when we read and we think critically about gender, we don't just understand the past, we take part in writing to better future. So thank you.